Hello everybody and welcome to part 10 in this LUA tutorial series. Now this is going to be the last video of the series and then we're going to be moving into using LUA with Gary's mod. Now I know there is a lot of things I missed out in this, but again this series was purely aimed to get people to move into Gary's mod. So if you're here purely to use LUA on your own behalf without using it in something like Gary's mod, then I recommend you either check the description for some more advanced links or you find another series on YouTube. I do apologize if that's the only reason you come here though. But anyway, what we're going to be doing in this video, in case you haven't noticed by the title already, is we're going to be building a higher or lower than game. Now, the idea is the computer thinks of a random number and then you got to guess the number. So this is going to be rather simple. So first of all, let's get some variables. Local lives equals 10. Okay, so the user has 10 lives. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make another variable and we're going to be calling this the random number. And we're going to set this equal to math.random. Now what math.random does is it's a math function from the math library. If you didn't look over it, it allows you to generate a random number between 1 and a certain number. So we're going to generate a random number between 1 and 10. Actually, we'll do 50 just to make it fun. Okay. So now this random number variable here is going to store a random number between 1 and 50. Now what we can do is we can print to the user and say welcome to. Now I'm just going to throw out that some of you may find this quite complicated and some of you may find it really easy. Now for those of you who find it complicated, it doesn't mean that you're going to be bad at coding or anything like that. This is a lot to take in all at once. So we're just going to go with it and hope that you understand it. So welcome to higher or lower than. Oops. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a while loop and we're going to say while lives is greater than 0. Then. Now the point is as the lives decrease, we're going to go ahead and we're going to minus 1 from lives. So now what we can do now is we can print and say you have, and then if you do double dot, it's how you connect things in a string. So if we did something like lives ... left, and then guess the number, what this is going to do is you can't use a plus to add things together like this. If you did this, LUA is going to get confused and it's going to think, sorry about that, it's going to think that you're trying to add a number to a string, which doesn't make any sense. So if you do double dot, what it does is it will merge them together as a string. Excuse me, 1 second. There you go. I do apologize. Now that we've done this, what we can do is if we go ahead and we run our program, what you're going to notice is it's going to get spammed. Oh, it actually errors on us. Let's see where I made the mistake. Okay, so I do apologize. I make these mistakes all of the time. I put then instead of do. As you know, with loops, you have to do rather than then. So yeah, I do apologize for that. But now if we go ahead and we run our program, we should see that we're getting spammed. As you can see, we're getting spammed a lot with you have 10 lives left, guess the number. Now it actually stopped. I have no idea why. But the reason why it's doing that is because we're stuck here looping over forever. Okay. Lives is always going to be greater than 0. But now what we can do is we can say local number is equal to then input io.read. Sorry. So now we're going to get the input from the user. And in case you didn't know, this is how you do it. So what we've always done is we've always put io.read at the bottom of our program. And I've never really explained what it is. Basically, io.read will force our program to pause while we enter some data into the console. And then when we hit enter or the return key, it's going to go ahead and return that value as a function. So if we typed in hello and we hit enter, then number would hold the value of hello. So now the problem with this is that's a string value and we're going to be working with numbers. So the first thing we need to do is convert it to a number. So we're going to say number is equal to number and then number. Now that may seem a bit confusing, but basically number, which could be 1, 2, 3 as a string. Now remember, this is completely different to this. This is a string. This is a number. We can't mix these together. So by doing the toNumber function, it's going to go ahead and convert the number to a string. You can also do toString, toBool, and stuff like that. And that will convert data types between each other. So now that we have our number, what we're going to do is we're going to do an if statement saying, if the number that we guessed is equal to the random number. Whoops, the random number. Then this means we got it right, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to print out, you guessed it correct. Congratulations. Okay? Excuse that horrible spelling. And then what we're going to do is we're going to type break. Like that. Now, what break is going to do, I didn't explain it in the last video, but break will break a loop. So we're currently in a loop. When we call break, it's going to end the loop regardless of the condition. So even if lives is still greater than 0, whenever you call break inside of a loop, it's going to end the loop instantly, just continuing on afterwards. That also works in for loops and for KV and pair loops too. So there you go. So now what we're going to do is underneath that, we're going to do an else if. Now remember, I did this in the if statement. You can do else if. And in this one, we're going to say if the number is less than, if the number is less than the random number, then. So if it's less than, we're going to go ahead and we're going to print out guess higher. Okay? Yep. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have one more else if the number is greater than the random number, then we'll go ahead and we'll print out guess lower. And then at the very last bit, we're going to have one more, which says if lives is less than or equal to 0, then, and go ahead and print out you failed. And then what we can do is break one more time. And that's it. That's our program. Now, at first, this may seem a bit complicated, but in theory, it's really simple. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to simply test this now. And we get an error. Of course we do. So excuse me while I try to find it. Okay, so after a little bit of searching, I do apologize for that. That was a huge mistake on my part. I was doing else if. There's not supposed to be a space in there, so it was encountering an error. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to run our program. And it's going to say, welcome to the higher or lower then. You have 10 left. There's supposed to be 10 lives left, but we'll ignore that. Guess the number. So I'm just going to go ahead and start at 25. So it's lower. We're going to go to 15. It's lower. We're going to go to 10, 2, 1. Okay, so the number was 1. And as you can see, when I finally got it, it said I guessed it correct. Now, our script is missing one feature, which is lives. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say lives is equal to lives minus 1. So each time we loop over, we're going to minus 1 live. So each time we guess it wrong, we're going to lose 1. So now if we do 25, we get an error. And that's because I did lives rather than lives. There we go. So now I'm going to start at 25 again. It's going to be lower. And then I guess 1, and it happens to be 1 again. So now, as you can see, my lives did go down. But a lot of you might be getting confused why it's the same number every time. And that's due to something called a random seed. And it's basically the way how the random algorithm calculates its numbers, except at the same time, it's always going to spew out the same set of numbers. So an easy way to solve this is to do math.randomSeed and then do os.time. Now, what this is going to do is, if any of you have ever played Minecraft, you'll notice that if you put the same seed as the world seed, you're always going to get the same world. Now, that's kind of what os.time does, except we're setting the random seed to be the milliseconds our computer has been on. So this number is pretty much always going to be different. The chance of you having the same is extremely low. So now when we run our program, we have no idea what it is. So we're going to go 25, it's lower. We're going to go 10, it's lower. And it's still 1. Was that because I didn't save it? Oh, no. There is one more problem. I do apologize for this. But there is actually a bug. No, it's not a bug. Sorry, it was me. I did it wrong. I generated the random number before I got the seed. So now I set the seed before I get the number. So now we'll go 25, lower. See how I did 1? That wasn't correct that time. It's higher. We're going to go 10. We're going to go 20, 25, 23. There you go. It was 23. So yeah, I hope you learned something from this video. It's pretty basic. I will put the code up on Pastebin for you guys who want it. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. If you've got through this entire series without any problems and you understand everything, then you're ready to move on to my next series, which is how we can use the knowledge that we've gained inside of Gmod to do some really cool things, such as making game modes, add-ons, and things along those lines. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you learned something, and hopefully I'll see you in the next series.